So that was on the women's reservation bill. So these are the pictures, live pictures that are coming. We just put it on the video wall. Aman, talk us through this. All the MPs are sitting. So is it across party lines that they will be sitting? Is there a seniority, juniority, first time, second time MP kind of thing? Or is it party wise? How is the allocation being done? Is there a thought process here?
Well, yeah, I think there'll be a thought process and it will be in batches. Obviously, the senior members will get precedence over it who have been in parliament for a long time. And I think, Anand, towards this, as Arunima was mentioning, the cordial nature of the parliament proceedings we saw yesterday, that is expected to be seen today as well before we move into the new parliament building. Also, the tone, I think, was set by the Prime Minister's speech yesterday. The way the Prime Minister spoke, there was no confrontation in that speech. There was no kind of a ill will towards anybody. It was more of a statesman kind of a speech by the Prime Minister, remembering the greats of Indian Parliament, right from Mr. Nehru to Mr. Vajpayee to Mr. Narasimha Rao. So, in a way, the Prime Minister had set the tone for the first 2 days of this special session. And, of course, by the time the women's reservation bill comes, and we expect it to be tabled in the Lok Sabha tomorrow, but before that comes, I think a lot of cordiality, as Pallavi was saying, there's a lot of nostalgia here because there are parliamentarians who have spent 30 years, 40 years in this parliament. They have been multiple time MPs. So we're moving from here to the new parliament building is a big day for everybody. And that is what I think we're going to see on display when these photographs are taken today.
Are we expecting, Pallavi, any response or question on Trudeau's bluster? Is that going to be perhaps raised when in the afternoon? Pallavi, can you hear me?
Could you repeat the question, please, Anand?
No, I'm saying the Trudeau's bluster. Is there going to be a question raised on it or an explanation given on the floor of the House, the new House? Pallavi, can you hear me? Aman, if you want to take that.
I'm sorry, Anand, if you could just repeat the question.
Aman, if you want to take that between you and Arunima.
Anand,
and Pallavi.
I think, Anand, the MEA has put out a very, very strong statement today morning. So I think that is the government's stand. I don't think that could be raised right today in the parliament session. Maybe tomorrow it will be raised. But India has put out its stand very strongly objecting to the Canadian statement. And I think the government will stick to that maybe for the day.
Well, let's see all the three ladies on the frame. Yeah, Arunima, go.
There is no question hour or 0 hour, so that doesn't really give the opposition parliamentarians a chance to ask of the government for a clarification on what has been what the Indian state has been accused of. It's a very serious allegation that the Canadian side has made. There is a threat to the life and security of our diplomats as well. Earlier also the names and identities of our diplomats had been pasted and India took very strong objection. Now again diplomatic action is being taken. So the opposition might want the government to answer and clarify, but because this is a special session and there is no question hour or 0 hour, the opportunity for the opposition is limited. However, we'll have to wait and see if unilaterally the External Affairs Minister makes a statement in Lok Sabha and Rajya Sabha clarifying the matter, because it's a big issue. It's a big issue and you can't really wait for the next session of the parliament to clarify the stance. But we'll have to wait and see how that goes, because the focus is right now that key bill that government wants passed, which is the Women's Reservation
Well,
bill.
somewhere many believe that Justin Trudeau has just given the government of India and government of Bharat a clear path on how to crack down on these K elements, because the diplomatic niceties have been shunned. So we'll see how that is tackled. But between the three of you, you're on the wide frame now. So let me just let you know that I can see all three of you on the wall here. Why don't all of you just take us through what's going to happen from 9:15 onwards? 9:15, 9:30, the photo op. Thereafter, what happens and what are the little aspects that we should watch out for? Some ceremonies, some who's going to lead, who's going to conduct. And also, yesterday after the cabinet meeting, why were some of the top ministers of the government in a huddle for nearly another hour and a half, 2 hours? So who's been given what responsibilities? Between the three of you, if you can take that. Pallavi, if you can hear me, go ahead please. Lead that please.
Yeah, I can hear you. Anand, I don't think anyone would want to be a spoil sport today. So I think today is a somber occasion. It's also nostalgia. And many of those who are going to be a part of that photo opportunity, which is going to begin in a short while from now, have been veteran parliamentarians, and many of them. I mean, whether it's a Dr. Manmohan Singh, Shibu Soren, Menaka Gandhi, all of them. So I think, and they have been giving us sound bites since yesterday. They have been speaking out about the good times. There has been a first time MPs who are also going to be a part of the entire proceeding. So roughly they've all been asked to assemble by 9:15. 9:30 is when the photo opportunity begins, and around 10:15 to 10:30 we are being told that they are going to be entering the Central Hall one last time. The entire concept of Central Hall is not really there in the new Parliament building. In the old Parliament building, that was something which many journalists also, for example, have got access to, and that was very often an occasion where you forget your political differences. Many a deal has been broken there. Many a backroom channel of communication has often been broken in the Central Hall, and thereby stands the significance or the memory of the Central Hall. So one last time, all of them will be there. We've been told, of course, the Prime Minister will speak, the Speaker will speak, the Chairperson of Rajya Sabha, and of course the list that we have been putting out, Dr. Manmohan Singh, Shibu Soren, so on and so forth. All of them are expected to speak, and it's after that they march into a new Parliament building. The Parliament Bulletin has clearly mentioned 115 Lok Sabha, 215 Rajya Sabha. We of course do expect that formal announcement of the cabinet decision which was taken yesterday on the women reservation bill is also expected to happen. So there have been people who have been invited. Essentially the government is going to make a big thing about the fact that they are going to be able to do something which the UPA tried but could not complete. So the women reservation bill, formally listed in the Parliament agenda, is only going to come on the day the bill comes up, most probably tomorrow. But today there could be an announcement either made by the Prime Minister himself or by the Parliamentary Affairs Minister, and I'm sure 2 to 3 leaders will be given that opportunity to express their view on the women reservation bill.
You know, Pallavi, you were mentioning about Central Hall. I can't help but think and go back to the days, Anand, when Pallavi, when Naveen Bansal and Umesh Sharma, our video journalist colleagues, would often run to a little, tea-board canteen that's there outside Central Hall, which would give us chaach or lassi on a hot, sweltering summer day while covering Parliament. That would, really refresh you. And that is when
to wait for Sonia
all
Gandhi,
the
Dr.
gossip.
Manmohan Singh to come out.
Yes.
And very often the fights happened inside the Central Hall, and I still remember when Sonia Gandhi said no to becoming the Prime Minister, it actually happened at Central Hall. So we'll miss those days as a journalist, and most of the older parliamentarians certainly will miss those days in the Central Hall.
And that gave us a sneak peek, even when you can't really get into the Central Hall, just standing there and observing how cutting across party lines, parliamentarians would interact with each other. Like Pallavi just said, those little snippets of what is happening, which can't be shown on camera, which can't be seen on record, that view is something that we will miss. But what we also missed out, Aman, like Anand was asking, what really was happening after cabinet yesterday? The ministers in a huddle. What other surprise does the government have in store for us?
Well, very clearly, I think no journalist can claim that a minister has confirmed to them that women's reservation bill has been passed by cabinet.
Yeah.
Nobody is officially confirming it. The only minister who tweeted it deleted the tweet. So, in a way, the suspense is on, and I think the idea seems, Anand, here that the government wants to announce it on the floor of the Parliament and maybe the Central Hall that yes, this step has been taken. They don't want to leak it beforehand, and I think all the ministers who met Mr. JP Nadda, the whole plan of the BJP is to make a big show out of it. To get women here in the visitors gallery today. Pallavi is invited to the visitors gallery in a short while. She is going, and Pallavi is somebody who's covered the Parliament, Pallavi, 2 decades almost.
Yeah, 2 decades.
2 decades.
Yeah, you make me feel old about it, Aman. But I still remember I was there when Sonia Gandhi had got the bill passed in Rajya Sabha. But if today the Congress wants to take credit, there has to be a sense of reticence about it, really, Anand, because the question will always be asked of the Congress party that those 4 years after 2010 the bill was passed, why couldn't you convince your own party colleagues? Ironically, many of those, I remember Sonia Gandhi said that in an interview to me that Mamata Banerjee had abstained, and I want to find out why. Today the Trinamool Congress heralds itself as a champion of women reservation. They were one of the first states actually to implement it at the panchayat level. So those are those nitty-gritties. I'm sure the BJP is going to top the fact that we managed to do what you could not.
Aman, Arunima and Pallavi, I know you have a lot of memories yourself, but I have people who are far more senior to all of us who have a lot of memories themselves.